The secret to crispy 3D prints is not always the latest and greatest 3D printing tech. Sometimes it's something much simpler. Cleanup. With the right cleanup techniques, your prints can go from sticky, low-res messes to high-resolution, quality 3D prints. So in this video, I'm going to run through the steps that I use to make sure that my prints are as good as possible, as well as sharing some of the mistakes I've made along the way so that hopefully you can avoid them too. It all starts with the right solvent. Solvent is just the stuff you wash your models in. You can use them all basically the same way, but there's some quick pros and cons to each of them. Water. Bog standard tap water can be used to wash water-washable resins. Nothing else. It's cheap, it's easy to get hold of, but the major drawback, in my opinion, that no one really talks about is it's just really difficult to dispose of it, or at least dispose of it ethically, properly, however you want to frame that. As soon as the water is polluted with resin, it has to be disposed of properly, as you would do with any other hazardous subject. You can't just pour it down the drain. So for that reason, I tend to avoid water-washable resins and stick to isopropyl alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol is a great, really versatile liquid that can be used for not just cleaning up resins, but cleaning lots of other stuff too, so it's genuinely useful to have around. The stuff you want to grab is anything over 90% proof, but most of the stuff you'll look around and discover on Amazon is 99.9% proof. I'll put some links down below of the stuff I use. And the third type of solvent you might see are branded ones, like the one on screen right now. Now, while these do work, I've had a bit of mixed results with them. The one I've used from Elegoo, for example, leads to sort of like a sticky, cloying film over the resin, which you have to then put an extra step in to wash further. It's fine. It does work really well. One word of caution though, and let's call this mistake number one. Do not use that fluid to clean any sort of plastic. It turns out that fluid is actually etching and will basically destroy the surface of anything smooth and glossy, meaning you have to use heat treatments to get back, and in the case of my poor Hey Gears RS, it's never quite the same since. You have been warned. So, that's out of the way. To clean the 3D print, you will need the following: gloves, goggles, and a respirator. Do not skimp on the safety. Both resin and the stuff you clean it with are both toxic chemicals and can seriously harm you if you do things wrong. That said, I'm not your mum, so you go ahead and do whatever you feel is appropriate. In fact, I'm going to jump in and call this mistake number two, not taking safety seriously enough. And I know I'm not trying to be your mum, but honestly, I know we all cut corners, but this stuff is seriously toxic, and I've seen numbers of people who've had long-term health implications from dealing with fumes or chemical burns and whatnot, and it's so easy to avoid, there's just no excuse, really. At the very least, you should wear gloves and work in a well-ventilated area. That's probably the last time we're going to mention safety in this video. Maybe. I'm really boring like that. Sorry. As well as that little lot, you'll also need a couple of receptacles, one for dirty solvent, the other one for clean, some tongs, a drip tray, some paper towel, as well as some paper filters or coffee filters, or these, which are linked below. The cheapest chips are these for filtering particles out of the resin when you put it back in its pot. Oh, and you'll need a couple of good funnels too. So now that's out of the way, your print's finished, you're all gloved up, and the first thing we're going to do is nothing. At the end of the print, let the resin drain from the model for a few minutes. And that's mistake number three. Being too impatient here will not only waste a little bit of resin that's stuck to the model, but also you'll go through your IPA way faster as it just becomes polluted with resin that could have just been left to drip off back into the vat. Now you've let it drip though, you can move on to the next step, which is wash number one. And now in the ideal situation, you want all your wash fluid to be absolutely pristine. But we live in the real world and we don't need to do that. So we're just going to do that first wash in some old, dirty IPA. This will remove about 95% of the resin. I made that figure up, but let's say most of the resin for the miniature. Now, when I first started 3D printing, I would literally just get a little jug filled with IPA and swirl the model round inside that. And it worked fine. But as you move up through the hobby, you'll find yourself doing this more and more and more, you can upgrade. This little sexy orange beast on screen now is the Elegoo Mercury 3, and it is really, Really impressive, particularly for the price point, which is just under 140 quid. Amazing. The Mercury 3 combines a cure station as well, and we'll get to that in a second, but the wash station is a magnetically driven impeller at the bottom of essentially a large, tall Tupperware with a little mesh plastic basket inside it. It is really basic, but it's 100% functional and just ideal for the job. When you set the thing to run, you program in your time, and then that magnetic impeller begins to spin, swirling the resin round and round and round your model, and as it gets halfway through the cycle, it swaps direction and starts to spin the other way, washing the resin out of the cracks that weren't gotten to before. Like I say, it's just a really simple design, I really like it. If for some reason though you got money burning a hole in your back pocket, you could invest in this bad boy. It's made by Formlabs and it's their wash station. It is incredibly cool. It does this, but it also costs just over £600, which is mental. So don't buy one of those unless you're a billionaire. And if you're a billionaire, I run a charity which is in need of some donations at the moment, so yeah, don't buy this and donate to me instead. Thank you. Seriously though, this sort of kit isn't relevant to a hobbyist, but it does showcase what's possible and what might be coming down the road to consumers in the next 2 or 3 years, so stay tuned to this. I've got a lot more content coming about the Formlabs machines because they were very kind enough to send me one, but that's for another video, so make sure you're subscribed and you can check out that later. And that brings us to mistake number 4. And that is perhaps not obvious, but it's stopping at this point. Now, I've been guilty of this before. You pull the model out, you think, this looks pretty good, thank you very much. And then you cure it and discover lots of little weird shiny patches all over it that didn't quite get washed out as you thought they might do. Now, that's going to depend on how clean your solvent was, but realistically, don't stop here. One mistake I did not make though was working with FlexiSpot. It's been well over a year since I built and assembled my E7 Pro standing desk, and it is still one of the best pieces of kit in my office. Not only is it great to look at, but it's also well made and tidy and loaded with accessories, like the touch sensitive pad that has 4 different memory settings and the 4-socket extension for when I need to plug in chargers, hair dryers, lights, you name it. But it's also just crazy useful. Sure, it's great to switch up your position during the day when working from home. That's obvious. But I hadn't realised just how useful it would be to raise the desk to access the back of my PC, or raise it when I drop stuff behind it, so I can climb underneath like an old unflexible pensioner. For me specifically though, it's just really cool to be able to raise the height when I'm leaning in to paint eyes or awkward bits of models. It stops me getting all hunched over and sore. So, if you're in the market for a new desk, it's well worth considering this one, which is on sale right now from FlexiSpot.com for $419.99. And I just want to say a huge thank you to companies like FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Now, we need to remove the supports. You're going to need another wash. And so that is our next step. But just before we get there, I want to give a quick shout out to my newsletter, which is a completely free subscription and every single month gives away a free STL file. All you have to do to sign up is go and find the link in the description below, head over to my website and click subscribe, and every single month you'll get that free STL file, lots of cool 3D printing news, updates about Discord painting projects, as well as exclusive early access to my painting workshops, of which I have lots of very exciting announcements to launch, hopefully in the next month. Stay tuned. Thanks so much. Now, I know I said the next step was actually a second wash, but actually there's a sort of like a mini step in the middle of all of this, and that is removing the supports. Now, you can decide to skip this because everyone's got their own process, and let's face it, there's more than one ways to achieve different things. But I quite like to remove all the supports at this stage because it allows me to clean the model up more effectively. So peel off those supports. If you find at this point they're too tough, heat them up using a hairdryer or some warm water or a heat gun like I do here. They'll soften right up and peel right off. Then you can move to the second wash. The second wash is exactly the same as the first one. All you need to do is swap out that dirty IPA with absolutely pristine stuff. Hit go and let it wash. And this is often where I run into my next mistake. Thinking back, I don't really know why I used to do this, but I used to think it was acceptable just to sort of like towel off or like lightly dry the model, then just cure it. And I wondered why I got sort of pockets of low detail or little shiny bits of uncured resin. And then I realised that, nope, I need to dry the model properly. So now that's what I do. I'll either leave the model out overnight and just let the IPA just evaporate off the model, or, because I'm also quite impatient, I'll pop it inside a curing oven. Now I'm lucky enough to have this one by Haygears, but if you can't afford something like this, and that thing's about 600-700 quid, but if you don't have one of those, you can pick up these little things off Amazon which are used for dehydrating fruit and stuff. They work just as well. I typically bake it for about 20 minutes to half an hour at 60 degrees, and that not only dries off all the IPA, but also helps to pre-cure the resin to make it a bit tougher as well. It definitely improves the structural integrity in some of the reports I've read, like some of the ones I'll link down below in the video. And then, once that's done, I'll give the model a final check over. And assuming I don't see anything wrong, I'll hit cure. So right, we're in the home stretch. We've got a cured model. All we need to do now is do a last little bit of post-processing, and we are golden. Now hopefully you've got all your supports and all the rest settings dialed in properly, so the support marks are minimal. However, you're going to have a few, and so there's a couple of ways to get rid of those. You could use something like an X-Acto knife or a hobby knife and just cut the worst of them away, but then after that you're going to have to move into sanding. If you do move into sanding, there's a couple of products I can really recommend. I'm a huge fan of these little wibbly gel pads by Vispe. They're relatively cheap and super flexible, but I do find they're a little bit big sometimes, so I will be known to revert back to my old trusty sanding sticks as well. But if you like a power tool, you can also buy pen sanders, like the one I'm using here. But the real trick here is to start at a higher grit to remove the roughest of the details, then move finer and finer and finer until you end up essentially just polishing the model. Then, once you get to the final stages, you can give it a final polish, a final wipe over with cloth, and you should have a surface that is good to go. And that is how you change your model to look from this into something that looks like this. If you want to know what this model is, it's Brynner the Head Taker by Mammoth Factory, and it was a free STL I gave away a couple of months ago on my newsletter, so like I say, it's worth signing up to that. But if you're not here for newsletters, and you are here for videos, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched this far. Particularly if you join in the conversations and the chats over on my Discord, or support me on Patreon. You know who you are, you're absolute legends. If you want to know a little bit more about some of the pen tools and sanding products, I'll pop that video on the screen right now. I guess all that's left to say is, I'm James. This has been RisingApe Minis, and I'll see you next time.